ikomiti lamaphoyisa lenza ngendlela efanele. Angiqale ngokuthi ngicele ebantwini base South Africa ndaba ezethu futhi thatha ithuba lokuthi ngibabongele ekubeni nesibindi esingaka. Thatha umndeni wakho, thatha freedom yakho uyifake kule nkinga engaka. Cabanga ukuthi nathi sibasha la eParliament sithole sikuleso simo leso sokuthi uma sidibana nezinto siyibuze ukuthi ngabe sizela isalary la eParliament noma sizela ukuzothi izwe lakithi ngalishintshe ngeinqumo esizithathayo. Ngithi angiyibongele kakhulu inkosi South Africa. Ngicabanga ukuthi uhleli lapha uyona ingelosi futhi awuyena umuntu owenze ukudlula abanye kahle. Kodwa okwenzile kuyisiqalo sokushintsha izwe lethu ukuze lithathe i-direction right. Siyabonga ndaba ezethu. Ndimali. Sibonga. Ngifuna ukuthi ngicele ke baba uMkhwanazi ukuthi iSouth Africa nama ngibuyele kuyo ngiyokhala kuyo. Ngoba sekuningi uma ngiyithathile nezinto engizenzile zisifaka enkingeni futhi eyifaka ukuphila kwethu engozini. Umehluko kweyiko lokuthi angigadiwe njengoba ugadiwe wena. Kodwa sizokujika sofela khona. Angicela ama-South Africans ukuthi akwenze ukuthi asi-assiste thina nawe namaphoyisa njengawo ukuthi ekugcineni siwathola amandla futhi asithume ekuthenini sitshintshe ama-policies nemithetho ekuvimbile ukuthi usheshe ufake abantu evenini. Ngoba ngibonile ukuthi kuyi-constitution somewhere la ivimba khona ukuthi la ngabe sowungenile uqedile kodwa kubuye kuchitha isikhathi kusibambezele. Ngiyakuthembisa ukuthi uma singathunya kwale nkosi abantu nabangalalelisisa kahle kahle sokwenza lokho. Ngoba uma sisuka la siyobhala i-report futhi siyobhala ama-recommendation to iParliament ukuthi lithathe inqumo. Angicele nje ama-South Africans ukuthi asibukelele. Kwale nkosi igama elithi Pravin Gordhan, Johnson, Batoyi, McBride, Sullivan, Padiach, Khan, uSibiya, Mchunu, uJulius, uGeneral Fan, uSenthumule. Angilungise lapha kuJulius mhlambe kuzozwakala kabi uJulius Mkhwanazi. I'll fix the error. Bengizoqhubeka ngikhulume ngabo. Kodwa manje nawo umbuzo wami. Kuthinte kumculi engimthanda kakhulu ndaba ezethu. Uzingwe Malo. In the big five, who is Zingwe Malo?
What we know is that amongst the people that are within the big five, that there are many business people that are associated with them. There are many politicians that are associated with them, and some of them has been spoken about in public. But it does not necessarily make them to be the big five. I said earlier, in one of the farms in north of Pretoria, it became like another arm of government, where all these high-profile people, business, politicians, and everyone were accounting it. So for now, what we have on the record that Zingwe Malo is one of the business people that are associated with the people, not to make him a big five, but because of his business interest that he had that involved some of the people, he ended up in that space, and he's not the only one. You will see a lot of photos, a lot of names of others. Does not necessarily mean that they are part of Big Five. They are associated with these people one way or another. It does not necessarily make them Big Five. So from the records that we have of Zingwe Malo, he's, I think, one of the people that became closer through the taxi finance, if I'm not mistaken. He was facilitating people in South Africa to get funding for taxis. And the taxis were controlled, or the Santaco was controlled in that space. So that's why I think he lands in that space and his name is popping up all the time.
Nangibonge baba. Amaphoyisa njengalawa afuna ukuba njengawe abopha abantu kwangempela kodwa sovalweni ngoba yacabanga ukuthi uma uzoba u-detective and uthola ukuthi uphethe information strong kodwa uma uzoya phambili uyazi ukuthi le information izophuma ikhishwa yibona lamaphoyisa la ehlalweni eziphezulu siwasiza kanjani amaphoyisa kanjalo ukuthi aqinise idolo nesibindi ukuthi aqhubeka ephambili ngoba my concern is that amaphoyisa amaningi wabo aqoshiwe umsebenzi in general baqoshwe bafakwa ama-cases angekho kuma nama-dismissals anga-understandeki bese kuba nama-lawyers angenelela ukupressa labo bantu labo siwasiza kanjani amaphoyisa njengalawo ukuthi aqine idolo aye phambili.
Yeah, well, the reason why government came up with the labor laws in our country, yokuthi umthetho uvikela abasebenzi. The police officers are affiliated to unions. So if unions are strong in defending police officers against the abuse, I think that is going to go a long way to support them. That is on one side. But on the other side, channels must be opened. And the only place I think the channels for me can easily be opened is through Parliament, the Portfolio Committee on Police. Create a platform, an opportunity, or a section within that can allow police whistleblowers that want to talk about things that are wrong in the police, that they see, or things that makes them not be able to do their work. But it must be an organized structure in such a manner that is going to receive complaint and be able to investigate these complaints and find them to be legit and be able to then take necessary action. They can take action by making a reference to IP to investigate such behaviors, reference to the IDEC to investigate such behaviors, or in many other structures. But if the individual committee members are going to be receiving calls from police officers and they don't investigate, you write a question in Parliament that goes in, is not a solution. The question in Parliament will not solve the problem of a police officer. So we as senior managers might be doing something wrong that the junior member is aware of, but is afraid, as we are saying, to speak out because it's going to be reprimanded. We're going to charge and discipline and dismiss. There must then be a platform, at least in a secured environment, which I think the Parliament might be one of the secured environment, where this police officer is able to depose of his challenges, because IP is created for that purpose. But we've seen a number of cases that IP has in their position where there's no traction in terms of investigation. I don't know the reason. We're hearing of the bad things that IPs are doing nowadays, which then creates a doubt about their capabilities. So Parliament must be then the place where one can cry. Presidents have created a complaint structure there, but a complaint comes in, they just dispatch to different departments. What I'm asking for, if we create a structure in Parliament, it mustn't be receiving dispatch. It must be receive, investigate, and then make a referral.
Maybe to follow up on that, as parliamentarians, in your view, what is it that we are not doing, Masenzi oversight, that we need to be doing?
I think that's a good question, honorable chair and members. The oversight role, I'm not in Parliament, I'm not the lawmaker, so it might be difficult for me to criticize much what you do. But I see in how ordinary living government works. You will have debates about the subject, but that debate might just be a debate as a tick of a box. If a decision is taken, it stays. So same with the oversight. You might find something wrong in a department, but what are the legal things you do as an oversight body that holds an accounting officer accountable? Shouting and screaming is not a solution. You can bring a person and shout at them in a meeting, but it's not going to. They're going to leave here and go aeroplane and go away. How do you make sure that there is action taken? I don't think there's ever been, I'm not saying that you must start now, but perhaps it might be an opportune time. Provincial commissioners are appointed by the National Commissioner in consultation with the executive in the province. when the executive who represents society feels that the lead of this police is not helping in fighting crime, that executive should have a platform to send a communication to the National Commission request for a fitness board. But it is the executive of the province that has that legal authority. The portfolio committee of police in the province, or security, community safety portfolio, they don't have that right. Whatever oversight they might do, they will have to write to the executive and raise those things. In Parliament, the person who accounts is the head of the police in the South African Police Service, the National Commission. And since the dawn of democracy to date, I don't think Parliament has ever initiated the process of a fitness board against the National Commission. It becomes a decision of the president to say we're dealing with this one or we're not dealing with. But the Parliament who does oversight, who see the wrong, who have asked for the report, presentations, make suggestions, and there's total ignorance on the things that the law says we must do. There's never been any opportunity, or as far as I know, a time where this portfolio committee will write to the person who's responsible for this accounting officer and say, this accounting officer is not fit for this job. Take action. All the departments, DGs, are appointed by the president. I'm not sure whether the past president and the current has ever received anything from Parliament that says, Mr. President, we are asking you to take action against this DG or against this National Commission, against this general. So I think those are some of the things that we must start want to look at. Because if failure to do that, it means you do oversight over an institution where you really don't have any say on it. You are just calling them to shout at them and they leave again. They come back tomorrow, they leave again. It's the same thing. You'll do that and you become famous to be a very active parliamentarian, but the person you are active on remains in the position. Or the institution that you're doing oversight on, they still do the same things, same way. No changes.
Uchaza ukuthi into esiyenzayo ukujwayela kahle athi sezinto ejwayelekile nje ukuthi kuhlale kwenziwa kanje, but we are not effective. But let me appreciate that. Asikhulume nalo daba. What is, in your view, uma kukhulunywa ngawe nebag ye-Louis Vuitton, why did you feel the need to speak out ngayo wena usukela usuka khona uchazela abantu ukuthi kukhulunywa ngebag ukuthiwa wayithola? What prompted you to do that?
Honorable Chair and members, I'm glad you're asking me this because this Louis Vuitton has a history. The history is, I think, majority of government officials suffer the same thing. They fall victim of the similar thing. Mkhwanazi gets on a trip to France where there's a big exhibition to look at different equipment that we use as a police. We are there for a week. In one of the days, as we are walking and person is tired of being walking in this place every day, I come across a plate. I take this plate. I'm a task force trained person. Mine is guns and bullets. So when I take this bulletproof plate, it feels like a paper. I take this thing and I look at what is written on it. What can it stop? What caliber of bullets can it stop? The numbers that are written here, maybe not to believe it. So I say to the person on the desk, I said, this is not true. This plate can stop this caliber. This person says, no, it can. I said, no, demonstrate this. Then he gave my details, said, no, we're going to send an invitation. I fly back to South Africa. Report to South Africa. We receive an invitation. I put a report to the acting national commission at the time, Ms. Patlan. And I said, General Patlan, we went overseas and we saw this. I'm interested to know about this because part of a problem we have in police is the death of police. They are dying because they're not wearing bulletproof vests. Portfolio committee have been parading us almost every single day. Police officers are not wearing these vests because they are heavy, uncomfortable. And here I am seeing something that is weight of a paper. and they say can stop the same caliber of the weapons that we are protecting our members against, I want to test this. So General Patlane approves that, no, we can go on invitation back to Germany this time, not in France, to where the company is, to go and test. Remember, I'm the task force person, and mine is managing the tactical teams. I'm not a ballistic expert, so I won't be able to go details about what this plate is supposed to have. That's why we have to get forensic people to come with us. A colonel from forensic in Cape Town came with us. So we travel, we go to Germany. In Germany, they take this plate, they put it in microwave with a high temperature degree. They take it after a microwave, they put it in a bucket full of water. They take it from there, they drop heavy object on top of it to mess up with the material of this thing. From there, they put it against the clay. And they ask us, what is the speed of the bullet that we use in South Africa? They load up this bullet and they shoot this thing. 7 bullets goes into it, not a single one goes through. 2 AK-47, 2 R5s, pistol, and the likes that goes into this. Nothing passes. And for me, it was a wow. I've never seen this. The clay at the back, it's an indication of the impact for those that knows the gun. You put a clay in the plate. When you shoot, the bullet might not go through, but the impact, the trauma is going to cause on the body, you're going to see on the hole that is going to be created on this clay. That size of that hole is going to tell you that the trauma, nonetheless, although the bullet didn't go through, but the trauma can kill a person. So the plate must not be able to allow that trauma. It must resist even that trauma. So this plate passes everything. I still asked the colonel that was with us, I said, why are we using such a heavy things and not this? So they asked us, what plate are you using? We said ceramic. And then our colonel says the reason we're using ceramic plate because in our specs as the police, we have a specification of a bulletproof vest that must stop an armor-piercing bullet. I don't know if you know the difference. The armor-piercing is the one that goes through steel. So the only thing that will stop that bullet is a ceramic plate. And ceramic plates are heavy. That is one. But two, ceramic plates are easy to break. When you drop it like this, it can crack. So once it cracks, the integrity of it is compromised. This ceramic plate must be evaluated every 5 years. Do we do that in the police? We don't. So we walk around with bulletproof vests that we've been wearing for 10 years, thinking they can still stop a bullet, but we don't know because we're not retesting it. So that was a concern. I come back into South Africa. I speak to my management and I say, and I made a recommendation report, General, I think we need to acquire some of these things and evaluate them with the aim of changing our bulletproof vest in the organization. But he says, no, well, start the process. Now, in starting the process, I'm the one that initiates this. So I engage with General Arlo, who's the head of support at Division HRD, and I say, General, can we have a budget to buy this? Because remember, this is not budgeted for by supply chain. It's an evaluation. We want to evaluate a new product. So General Arlo makes the budget available, said, no, we can only afford so much. And there were about 200 of them. We make an application to the division that is responsible for buying, that is supply chain. We say, we request you to get hold of this. This plate is in Germany. We'll want to bring it here into the country so we can test this. With the procurement rules of South Africa, supply chain should have gone straight to that company and get this thing to come in, but they didn't do that. They went via a local service provider. How do they source the local service provider? I do not know. In my understanding, there was no one who was providing a service of that bulletproof in the country when we met with the company. But later we learned that, no, there's a service provider in South Africa that can import this thing. So supply chain goes and buy through that service provider. First batch 200 is delivered as per our request. It comes. So we take these things to different units for testing. It's an evaluation procurement. General Arlo come with a proposal. Arlo, he was working at HRD. He says to me, General, why don't we increase this number of these vests from 200 to 1,000 so that we do the assessment of Pretoria West Academy? There's 2,000 students in that college. We do the full medical assessment. We give 1,000 of them these new plates, new bulletproof. We give the other 1,000 of them the older ones. After 6 months of running with these, we re-evaluate them medically to see the impact on their spinal cord and their bodies and everything else that the ceramic plate that is heavy has on the body versus this light one. So I said, but we're going to need money to do that. He said, no, we have some savings in the budget, we can do that. And I said, okay, so let's make an application. We do. But remember, we don't buy, we apply to supply chain. Supply chain wants to source these things, but obvious, the head of supply chain must engage with the CFO, which is Gerard Skete at the time. So then they decided, two of them said, but we've already bought this thing and it was beyond the money that we're supposed to buy on quotation, we must buy through tender. Because it's for evaluation, we're able to source it. But the second batch is going to be expensive for us to get it directly. Let's go to Treasury and ask for permission. They wrote to National Treasury. They asked for permission. National Treasury said, no, but you've got the 200 to evaluate. The reason you are giving for the evaluation to buying the others, we cannot agree with it. Go on tender if you want to buy the others. So the response come back, and that's where it stalled. To my understanding, because the response we got back from supply chain said, no, Treasury didn't approve, so we can't buy. So we live with that. We cannot buy. But I didn't know that the company that was procured from the 200, supply chain, when they received the second request from us, while they're asking for permission from Treasury, they told the company to bring more. The order is coming. And the company ordered. But when the company ordered, they got the finance, I'm told, from First National Bank. They got the loan and they ordered the staff to come into the country. But when Treasury said no to it, supply chain did not send an order to the service provider. So the service provider suffered because he's got the product into the country, costing millions, and he's got no order. That was his, I think, stupidity that he did. But when there were investigations that were done by IP and many other people, it appears that someone from within the bank, they approached these members and said, this person owes us money. He asked for money because of Bulletproof, but he's not paying us. That is what started everything to say, this person received this Bulletproof, and the investigation was lodged. I'm told they raided these companies' offices, but they realized actually there was no order from supply chain. So they seized these 8 gadgets, computers, and they did everything. That is on one side. But on the other side, I had asked the SC to help me yesterday. Remember those numbers that I asked if you can open them for me so we can reference to? I don't know if you saved them. I hope you did. What I then discovered, honorable member, is that in me introducing this light vest, I'm making a lot of big business angry because I'm introducing something that does not exist in South Africa. So I'm coming to disrupt their business. And out of curiosity, then I started investigating to say, we are forced to stick with this ceramic plate, even if it doesn't work for us, for all these years. Who are these people we are buying from? Then I saw the list. I think less than 5 companies or maximum who are solely responsible for giving us Bulletproof vests since the dawn of democracy to date. So here's me coming up with something that's going to disrupt them. A part of why there's this so much attack on me. But fast forward to that initial visit, there's another visit with the National Commissioner to the same exhibit, but we're going to visit the police there, then we pass the same exhibit. When we return from there, because this information now I asked from the National Commission, when we return from there, because there were many of us, one of us was Brigadier Leon Ras from Forensic. She's the one who was always, when I was in the task force, I was receiving a lot of things that she was buying for research that cost millions of rand without tenders. She's the one who was bringing these things. The drones were the first to have drones bought by her. Cost millions without going through tender because she was doing that job at Forensic. She was with us on that second trip. We were about 5 or 6 of us. On our return, allegedly, from what I hear, is that she received a gift from someone. We are there for a week. When we part ways, you go to the hotel, you don't know what the person does. Others go shopping and this and that. Apparently, she received a gift of a bag, Louis Vuitton. They say it's a clash bag from what I'm told. She comes back, she declares that. But none of us are declaring anything because we're not getting anything. It is the case based on that to say, there were Louis Vuittons that Leon Russ declared, the others didn't declare. So which means, that's why Paulo Sullivan will say, I don't know what he did with Louis Vuitton. That means he gave it to his wife because he knows that it was a clash bag, it's a woman's bag that was given to Brigadier Leon Russ. The rest of the men that were there, myself, I know I didn't get anything. So when the story went out, I asked the National Commission, I said, what is the story about this Louis Vuitton? He said, no, they approached him to ask him about it, but there was no Louis Vuitton. To date, nobody has ever come to Mkhwanazi to ask questions about it. But Mkhwanazi is out there in the media. So this goes to show that it was a fight back that I believe come from people that were disturbed on their business. On one side, for honorable members to know, the price of it cannot be the same as the price of a bottle that you buy in South Africa. If this bottle comes from abroad, there's taxes and everything that is going to make the price of this expensive. So it was a given that vest is going to be expensive simply because it comes as a complete unit. I wish I can present it before you so you can compare both. I'll invite the Portfolio Committee of Police to tell us to bring that bulletproof vest, old one, and that we found that site, bring the ballistic report, the member that was there to show the difference between the two. I'm glad today these companies are starting to make the very same light plate, thanks to us introducing that. But I can say to date, we are still on ceramic.
So I'll be
we are still buying from the same companies.
So I'll be wasting my time asking you ukuthi bekune 100,000 kuleyo bag le because there was never a bag.
So they talk about the clash bag. I don't even 100,000 rand. How does it even get to that clash bag? So you can see it's a story that was just made up.
Makes sense.
Unfortunately, people that shared with Mr. Paulo Sullivan, he then believed that this is the fact.
Thank you so much. That must be the last question.
Thank you, Chair. No, quick one. Why would General Khan, if there's all these allegations, you as his colleague and seniors, if I may say, maybe it's your senior, I don't know. Why would you and in the state probe such a person who allegations and I'm asking this because I still feel strongly if he felt Yena is innocent of the allegations, he wouldn't come to me. He wouldn't invite me to a certain place to speak to me on a video call. He would be doing exactly what you are doing with the Louis Vuitton issue. In your take, what's that issue?
I really don't know. I don't know because he's not working under my command. With all what I know, if he was working under my command, I would have taken action long time ago. But he does not work under my command, so I cannot be able to answer as to why there's no action taken against him. It seems to be, even in this committee, is missing. You know, we find a way of dodging everything. I do hope that the police commissioner will do something drastically this time. General Commando said he has dismissed over 30 members at crime intelligence. But that's not enough. There are many wrong members that are still there. That shouldn't be there. That have been part of the system. So we need to, I think General Khan is one of the richest general we have, maybe more richer than all of you.
Walter kulizwe mfoka kwale nkosi asibonge ba Mkhwanazi inkosi kubusisa.